Okay, good morning and welcome to Mishna Yomi. Today we'll be doing Maseches Terumos Parakeh. Mishnah is based in Gimel 2 and 3. Mishnah base says, "Sa Truma Tmeya Shnafal Toch Meya Chulin Tahorin." Here we're talking about. Yesterday we were talking about cases where the ratio was less to 1 to 100. Here the ratio is 1 to 100. So we can talk about the two cases. In one case, the case of the Truma is Tmeya. In one case, the Truma in the second Mishnah it's Tahora. First case, Suma is out Truma Tmeya Shnafal Toch Meya Chulin Tahorin. The Chulin is 100. It's tar. But the Truma is Tameh, one part. So normally, even if it's Truma Tmeya, we know it's Mavatal. I don't call it Mavatal. It releases it from a status of Dimul. You just take out one, give it to the Kohen, the rest is yours. So, of course, the 100% Chulin, 100 Chulin belong to you. Take out one and burn that because you assume what you took out is the Truma. And you assume it's Truma Tmeya. Shani Omer Sash Nafal Hisash Alsa. Ezra would hold of Breira. He holds Breira. What you took out, this mixture, it actually turned out that the one you took out, we assume it's Truma. Cham Omrim, we hold not Breira. We don't hold, we assume, right? The odds are against you. We don't assume the one that fell in is 1 in 101 chance that it's actually the one. We don't assume that. But I explained before that the whole idea of Dimu is that Truma confers the status of Truma, Gabi Dine Mamas, and the whole thing. Tale v'teachal nekudim o klayos. Otilosh meiperos is chalik leisel kishal yehev makom echad kebetza. You have to be shomer for the too much because Truma Tmeya fell in. So therefore, it gave the status of Truma Tmeya to the entire thing. Now, when you take off the Truma Tmeya, so therefore you release it. You release the 100 other parts to be chulin. It's not that we assume you took off the Truma. It's a mechanism that works by dimua. Dimua is a chumrah, as I mentioned, only b'dinim amanis. When you take it out, so therefore, it's not that we assume that you took out the Truma. So therefore, we assume the Truma might still be in there. Technically, in reality, the Truma might still be in there, but we treat it as chulin because 100 to 1 is batel. So therefore, we treat it as chulin, but it might be tummy. So therefore, the person who has 100% chulin and he wants to eat it, he has to be choshesh, that is makabel tuma, and meaning, and it might be truma tmeya. It might be you could eat it, but you want to make sure it's not because it's not makabel tuma. Chulin is not makabel tuma unless it's huchsher makabel tuma. So therefore, what you do is either eat it dry or you eat it burnt where there's no liquid, or you use meiperos to knead the dough. You use fruit juice, which is not one of the zayin mashkim. It's not machsher makabel tuma. Or you make sure that the pieces of dough are smaller than a kabita. It's not makabel tuma. In this way, you could assume that there's no tuma going on the rest of the thing, and the person could eat the 100 remaining parts of chulin. If there's no tuma, to ensure there's no tuma over here. No tuma over here. Gimel. Sa truma tahora shenafal meya chulin tmeya. What the opposite case? The truma is tahora, but the chulin is tmeya, 100 parts. Tale v'tachal nekudim al klayos atilosh meiperos to chalak leiso tish lehev makom echad kebeza. Here, it's not a machlok. It's even Relezer admits over here that since the truma is tahora over here, so therefore we don't have to worry. He assumes that we have to worry because the chulin is what you're left with. The chulin is what the Yisrael is left with. So therefore, when it comes to the truma tmeya, so you can assume, he says breira, we can assume the truma came out over here. But even if you assume breira over here and the truma came out, right, the chulin is still tameh. The chulin is still tameh. So therefore, we have to make sure that you don't eat it betuma. So therefore, you have to eat it either dry or use meiperos to knead the dough, or make it into small pieces of bread, pieces of dough that are less than a kabeta sama kabel tuma. Because even if you assume breira and you took off the truma, the chulin is what you're left with. The chulin is tameh. So therefore, we're concerned that maybe the truma is still in there. The tuma is still in there. We're concerned the tuma is still in there. So you have to make sure it's not huchshar a kabel tuma. That would be the conclusion of today's share. I hope you enjoyed. See you in Ian Mishna.